This is a world gone mad. This is a world gone mad. Mad, 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 mad.
Hello, I'm Jeff Allen Wolf. This is A World Gone Mad. I would like to talk about the Epstein files, but I need to start by saying something very clearly to the Wolfpack listeners. You didn't hear me rush out a hot commentary on this the minute headlines started flying about the last 3,000 pages in videos and photos that were just released. And that was intentional. Not because I don't care, not because I'm afraid of the topic, but because when something this explosive drops, the first responsibility is figuring out what's real and what's performative bullshit. What we were handed was a heavily redacted release. Pages blacked out, context missing, names appearing without sourcing, without corroboration, without a clear chain of custody explaining who touched these documents, when and how much was altered before the public ever saw them. There are passages in those documents circulating right now that name Donald Trump and Bill Clinton implicated in disgusting, disturbing, and serious situations. And here's the problem. We don't know if those passages are verified testimony, unproven allegations, selectively leaked fragments, or material that's been shaped by redactions and omissions that completely change the meaning. That matters. Because once you poison the evidence trail, once the public can't tell what's original, what is edited, what is conveniently missing, you don't get truth. You get chaos. And chaos is very useful to people who don't want accountability. So ask yourself this, listener. Did the Justice Department fully declassify and release those files in good faith? Or did they sanitize, redact, and curate them in a way that ensures nobody can confidently say what's real anymore? Because right now what we have isn't closure, it's confusion. And confusion lets everyone involved hide behind the same excuse. You can't prove it, you can't disprove it. So nothing happens. That's why I didn't jump on this immediately. I'm not going to amplify claims I can't verify. I'm not going to become part of the noise that lets the powerful shrug and say, see, it's all a mess anyway. But don't mistake my patience for acceptance. This file release doesn't feel like the whole story, obviously. It feels like a controlled release designed to look like transparency while ensuring accountability never actually arrives. And until we know what documents are authentic, what testimony is corroborated, and what was quietly buried, nobody gets to declare this settled. If the truth exists, it deserves daylight. Not black bars, not selective outrage, not a release so compromised that the public is left arguing over scraps instead of demanding answers. That's where I'm at. And that's why I'm watching this very carefully before I weigh in any further. So while the Epstein files are still a black bar circus and nobody can get a straight answer, something truly incredible happens. A comedian tells a joke, and Trump absolutely loses it. He goes haywire. Donald wants to sue because he's so mad that he can't think straight. Oh, and that joke, Wolfpack? Just so you understand why Trump is so absolutely losing it, the joke is this. At the Grammys, the comedian Trevor Noah made the quip in reference to the Song of the Year award, saying, quote, "That is a Grammy that every artist wants almost as much as Donald Trump wants Greenland," which makes sense because Jeffrey Epstein's island is gone. He needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton. That's it. That's the trigger. That's the joke. There you go. Now you know why Donny Boy is so over the edge. The most damning joke that has ever been made against Donald Trump in the history of the world was made. And Trump exploded. Seriously? That's it? You gotta be fucking kidding me. On the stage of the Grammy Awards, Trevor Noah makes a crack that even vaguely brushes past Jeffrey Epstein, and suddenly Donald Trump goes nuclear. And notice what Trump does not do in response to that joke. He doesn't laugh it off. He doesn't brush past it. He doesn't ignore it and move on. Nope. Trump threatens to sue Trevor Noah, the comedian. That's the priority. Think about how insane this is for a second. We're talking about one of the most grotesque criminal networks in modern history, with victims who are trafficked, abused, silenced, and discarded. And the thing that absolutely cannot be tolerated is a joke at an award show. That's the line. This isn't strength. This is someone who cannot tolerate the subject being mentioned without losing their mind. And the lawsuit threat isn't about winning. Everyone knows that. It's about dominance. It's about reminding everyone watching that if you say the wrong name, in the wrong context, at the wrong volume, power will come down on you like a hammer. This is how intimidation works now. Not jackboots, not secret police, just lawsuits, threats, and public tantrums designed to make everyone else think before opening their mouth. Because here's the tell. When someone has the truth on their side, they don't chase comedians. They don't rage post. They don't melt down over punchlines. They laugh it off and move on. But when someone is scared of the conversation continuing, when they don't want the name repeated, when they don't want the dots connected, they try to shut the room up. Fast. Epstein's name surfaces again. The files are a mess. The questions won't die. And the response is not clarity. It's panic dressed up as a lawsuit. And panic, when it's this loud, isn't accidental. It's a confession without words. And this is where it stops being embarrassing and starts being dangerous. Because after the tantrum, after the lawsuit threats, after the public rage over a joke, the focus shifts from ego to power. Behind the scenes, the Justice Department is being pushed to deliver something very specific for Donald Trump. Not justice, not accountability, results. There is now a so-called weaponization effort inside the DOJ that's being ramped up, not because new evidence suddenly appeared, not because crimes were uncovered, but because Trump wants payback for the people who investigated him. But here's the part that should set off alarm bells. This group has existed for a year, a full year, and it produced nothing. No findings, no bombshells, no public conclusions, nothing. So what changed? Pressure. Trump has been openly angry that prosecutors and U.S. attorneys aren't giving him the cases he wants. Not cases that naturally rise to evidence and law, but cases aimed at specific people, specific investigators, specific enemies. Now the plan is daily meetings, a 2-month deadline. Produce something, Trump demands. That's not how justice works. That's how outcomes are manufactured. When prosecutors are told what conclusion they're supposed to reach before the work is done, the rule of law isn't being defended. It's being bent until it snaps. This isn't about correcting wrongdoing. It's about rewriting the past so Trump can claim vindication and punishment at the same time. This isn't justice drifting off course. This is a president demanding prosecutions the way a mob boss demands favors. Now let's talk about one of the dumbest lies that keeps getting repeated because it sounds political enough to stick. According to Donald Trump, blue states are screwing themselves with unreliable, overpriced electricity because of renewables and climate policy. Red states, we're told by him, are the smart ones: cheap power, reliable grids. No woke nonsense. Sounds great. It's also bullshit. Hey, Wolfpack, let me try this in the language that Donald, the delusional one, understands. Hey, Donald, did you also know this? The blue states are smarter, more emotionally connected to the real world, and nicer places to live and be around than red states? Yeah, that sounds just as stupid as Donald's comments about electricity prices rising when I say it out loud too. Although it's pretty close to the truth. Electricity prices are going up almost everywhere in this country. Red states, blue states, purple states, coastal states, flyover states, everybody everywhere. Federal data shows residential electricity prices are up roughly 40% since 2021. 40%. That doesn't care how you vote. And some of the biggest recent increases didn't happen in California or New York. They hit places like Pennsylvania and Ohio. Not exactly Greenpeace headquarters. Here's another inconvenient fact. Some of the reddest states in the country have installed more wind and solar than many blue states. Texas alone blows that talking point apart every single time it's mentioned. What's actually driving prices isn't ideology. It's aging infrastructure, grid hardening, hurricane recovery, wildfires, and utilities jacking up rates because they're allowed to. In fact, about half of the $31 billion in new rate hikes utilities are asking for this year are concentrated in the Southeast. Red states. So when this gets framed as blue states did this to themselves, that's not analysis. That's misdirection. Here's the truth. You're paying more no matter who you voted for. And anyone telling you otherwise is lying to keep you distracted. And here we go again. Same movie, same idiots, same hostages. Mike Johnson now comes back to Washington and with a straight face tells his caucus they need to accept the funding deal or risk another government shutdown. As if this is a surprise. As if this is weather. As if it just happens. Let's be very clear about what's actually happening here, people. Republicans are once again holding the government hostage to protect themselves from their own extremism. They're not negotiating to improve anything. They're not fixing problems. They're not governing. They're trying to survive the monster they built. And let me add some important context that keeps getting conveniently blurred. This isn't some brand new mystery funding bill. 5 out of the 6 parts of this deal have already been approved. The holdup is Democrats refusing to sign off on expanded funding and unchecked authority for ICE. That's baked into the remaining piece of the bill, the 6th plank. That's the fight. That's what exactly is being negotiated. Everything else is theater. This deal didn't fall out of the sky. It exists because adults in the room are trying to keep federal workers from missing paychecks, airports from turning into chaos, and basic services from grinding to a halt. You know, the actual job. But instead of saying that out loud, Mike Johnson has to sell it to conservatives like it's a bad used car. Because God forbid anyone in the Republican Party admit the obvious truth. that shutting down the government is stupid. It hurts real people. And it never accomplishes a damn thing, except cable news hits and fundraising emails. So what do they do instead? They change the story. They scream about immigration. They scream about Democrats. They scream about immigration and customs enforcement like that's the real emergency. Not the fact that they're about to blow up the government again because a handful of extremists want a tantrum. This isn't strategy. This is fear. Fear of their own base, fear of being primaried, fear of saying no to the loudest, dumbest voices in the room. And let's not miss the absurdity here. The deal on the table is temporary. Two weeks. A stopgap. A Band-Aid. Just enough time so federal workers don't get screwed while Republicans figure out how to not punch themselves in the face on live television. And even that is too much to ask. Because for this party, governance is optional. Chaos is the brand. Republicans don't want solutions. Solutions end the outrage. And outrage is the only thing holding this coalition together. So instead of doing what the country actually needs, Republicans perform this ritual humiliation every few months. Fake crisis, manufactured brinkmanship, same threats, same countdown clock, same people pretending this is leadership. It's not. It's what happens when a party is so terrified of its own voters that it would rather burn the house down than tell those voters no. And the worst part is, when this inevitably blows up, it will, they'll blame everyone except themselves. Democrats, the media, the deep state, the weather, anyone but the people lighting the fuse. The country needs a functioning government. Republicans need a scapegoat. And until those two things stop colliding, we're going to keep doing this stupid dance while real problems pile up and nothing gets fixed. Again. And that, ladies and gentlemen of the Wolfpack audience, is the same redundant dance. It's like a dog chasing its tail in circles. Same bullshit, different day. We have a non-functioning government. Just a bunch of people sitting in a room, seeing who they're going to go after next, and what's the next action they can do to hurt our country and its citizens. Before I close this episode, a brief reminder of something that I've mentioned many episodes before. My family and I are still in a difficult situation. My girlfriend, as I told people before, was terminated from her job of 12 years. Now, replacing a lost income in this economy takes time, and we're still in that gap. For those of you that are in position to help, I included a link below my podcast episode description in the app you're listening from. And again, there's no obligation. I say that over and over again. If you can help, thank you. If you can't, sharing the link everywhere with others truly helps. Natasha and I are taking this 1 hour at a time. We very much appreciate your support for those that helped, more than we could say. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf. This is A World Gone Mad. The shit is coming at us extremely fast because of Donald, and I'm doing everything I can do to stand up for America and against Donald, the biggest waste of DNA in the history of our planet. Wolfpack listeners, stay alert, remain skeptical, question everything, but most of all, stay hopeful.